a room 10 by 8. So if you're watching this video firstly, then I suggest you to watch the first part of this lesson to understand it completely, otherwise you will not be able to connect with this lesson. So I'm not going to discuss what we have discussed in the first part. I just start where did we leave the lesson. So at the end, in the previous video, we learned that Mr. Malik had passed away. Her mother or mother-in-law of Mrs. Malik had passed away, and the new character, daughter-in-law, now had arrived. So after 3 months of Mr. Malik's death, the house was released by the government. The house was released by the government, and as soon as the Malik's family got the possession of the house, we see their daughter-in-law was more keener, more enthusiastic to shift the house. She was more keener than Mrs. Malik. So in this part, we see the dramatic story of Sas Bahu. You know, the dramatic story of Sas Bahu. For the possession of the house, she ordered a number of supply of furnitures. She had it painted, polished, and all the arrangement what should be done to shift the house. She had already arranged. So they decided to shift the house. They decided to shift the house on Monday. Malik's family had decided to shift the new house into the new house on Monday. Why? Because Monday was auspicious day. Monday being an auspicious day, शुभ दिन होने के कारण, they decided to shift. And when they woke up in the morning, they see that it was raining and heavily. It was raining heavily on Monday morning. So after discussion, they decided that they will shift in the evening. They will shift in the evening. And in the evening, the rain was as heavily as in the morning. So in the evening, the rain didn't stop. And Mrs. Malik wanted to shift into the new house on Monday. So out of consideration of his mother, Mrs. Malik's son had decided, even though it was raining heavily, so they decided to shift the house on Monday evening. So they hired another taxi instead of their own car. They hired another taxi for the luggage. And now the scene is that Mrs. Malik's son was driving the car, and besides him, her wife was sitting, and Mrs. Malik was sitting in the back seat. On the back seat, Mrs. Malik was sitting on the back seat. So Mr. Malik's son was driving the car, sitting on the back seat of the car. Mrs. Malik started reminding of the days when the house was under construction. She was reminding that she was stood in the scorching heat, and many times she drenched in the rain. She worked hard, so she was reminding all these days. And now, when they were going their house, all these things are reminding. So Mrs. Malik's daughter-in-law was sitting on the front seat, and she started repeating her lips. So Mrs. Malik started thinking, what is the need to paint their lips, or you can say lipstick. So what is the need to paint their lips when they were going their own house? At the most they will go or there they will eat and go to sleep. So what is the need to paint their lips? And the second thing, Mrs. Malik's daughter-in-law was talking incessantly with her husband in English. So Mrs. Malik didn't understand English. So Mrs. Malik was thinking that what is the need to speak with her husband in English? What is the need to speak in English? And Mrs. Malik had reminded that the architect had painted an image, a beautiful painting. And Mrs. Malik was thinking that this image represents her. It was her pictures, a beautiful picture. And she was thinking at that time that I will see, or I will show that image to my daughter-in-law. And in the pictures, the lady was wearing a maroon color sari, but Mrs. Malik didn't like maroon color. It was too loud for her, so she didn't like that color. So when they were going their house, Mrs. Malik was thinking all these things when the house was under construction. And after some time, Mr. Malik's son drove the car straight to the ports, and they reached the destination, their own house. And Mrs. Malik's daughter-in-law jumped into the car when the car stops, not in the way. She jumped into the car and she stood the way the image was standing. And her daughter-in-law was also wearing at that time maroon color sari. So Mrs. Malik was thinking that the architect had mocked at her. So it hurts Mrs. Malik. So Mrs. Malik's daughter-in-law was giving instruction to the servants about the luggage, and they both, Mrs. Malik's son and daughter-in-law, they entered their new house and put on lights, and the house was lit up. And the house and everybody, their daughter-in-law, her son, they forgot about Mrs. Malik, and Mrs. Malik was sitting in the back seat of the car. They forgot about her in the excitement of the new house. And when Mrs. Malik's son thought about her mother, he ran and opened the door of the car and brings her mother into the new house. And Mrs. Malik was saying that the driving in the evening, it makes me go to sleep. So actually she was, the way the Mrs. Malik's daughter was acting, like she was the way she was standing, the way she was talking, it hurt. So she was just in a bad mood, you can say, in a bad mood. So she didn't come out of the car. So the son brings her into the new house, and it was asked about the dinner. So Mrs. Malik refused. She told that I have no appetite. I'm not hungry. I don't gonna to eat anything. I just want to take rest. Then Mrs. Malik's daughter-in-law, pointing to a room 10 by 8, pointing to a 10 by 8, and said, it is better to go to take rest in the room. Hearing these words, Mrs. Malik gone into sadness, and she entered her room at 10 by 8. Why she was sad? Because you know that Mrs. Malik resized the room for her mother-in-law, and now she was in the room. So this is the story, a room 10 by 8, and if you have not subscribed the channel, then do subscribe the channel. Thank